So hello everyone, very warm welcome to you for our SAP Community call today. My name is Svea Becker and I'm from the SAP Community team. And today with me, I have two brilliant speakers here. We have Venugopal okay, I tried again, Chembrakalathil. Oh yeah, this is really, really difficult. I just said I like challenges, but this is a bit too much. So I proceed with your short name. Venu is a product manager in SAP Intelligent Business Process Management. He has been working with SAP since 2001 in various roles. He is an expert advisor of SAP Intelligent BPM and also an expert speaker in various SAP events like Sapphire, TechEarth, and so on. And he's also very active in the community. He publishes blog posts to guide customers and partners to understand the value proposition of SAP Intelligent Business Process Management. Welcome, Venu. And we have a second speaker here as well. It's Stephan Schluchter. This name is much more easier for me. Stephan is a product manager for SAP Intelligent BPM. His focus is on enabling customers, partners, and colleagues on the related services. And Stephan has more than 10 years of experience in the BPM domain, and he is also a regular speaker at international conferences like Sapphire, TechEarth, also on ASAC and DSAC. And well, at the moment we have no physical events, but we have virtual events. So I welcome everyone and also my nice speaker here for this call. And I hand over to you, Stephan.
Thanks a lot, Svea, and thanks so much for this very welcoming and charming introduction to both of you, my colleague Venu and myself. Yes, a big welcome to all of you. Thanks so much that you have taken the time this afternoon or this morning, mid of the day, depending where you're dialing in from, to get some information about intelligent business process management. So we said we would like, on the one hand side, provide an overview of the topic of the products itself for the ones who haven't heard anything about, but also we have several updates which we are planning to release in the upcoming weeks, and we thought it would be a very good point in time to provide you an overview on the recent updates. Having said this, let me just start with a kind of an introduction why probably it is important for you to take a closer look into intelligent business process management, the capabilities we are providing, but of course also what kind of value we could provide to you, to your organization, to your company. I mean, when we take a look at business processes, in general, we would see, okay, processes are complex, often they are very manual, leading to errors or inefficiencies. But of course, also what we are seeing these days, that sometimes processes are also broken. So that sometimes, of course, processes who were working out quite well in the past, because even if they have been done manual, they are now difficult to handle or even not working anymore. And of course, there are also new challenges coming in these days with the handling of business processes, which are more or less kind of the lifelines within a company. But also there are coming in, of course, challenges now with the current situation. And we also would like to show you actually how SAP Intelligent BPM could also help in different scenarios these days. So what is intelligent business process management all about? To summarize it, I mean, we are providing here a kind of family of services which help you in different areas of business process management. For and foremost, of course, it helps you to digitize workflows. So the way how your work is actually flowing within your company, it helps you to automate, to digitize also business processes. When we're talking about workflows, most often we also talk about decisions which need to be taken during the course of the execution of a workflow, of a business process. And of course, you also need to be able to govern, to maintain these decisions. And this is also what we are enabling here, management of the decision logic itself. Of course, you also need to ensure that the processes are up and running, not only from a technical standpoint, but also that they are really up and running from performance point of view, that you really can ensure that certain SLAs, for example, which you have agreed upon, are really met, and that you also are able to find out, are there any kind of issues currently going on? Are there any kind of latencies due to several reasons? And then, of course, be able to find out what are the reasons, and then also trigger immediate actions to really get rid of any issues and to ensure a proper flow of the process at the end. When it comes to the consumption of processes, of course, when we are talking about automation of processes, there are areas which can be done more or less without any human involvement. But of course, from time to time, also some kind of human involvement. Business users are needed to make decisions, for example, to approve certain steps. And of course, there we also need to ensure that all these tasks can be consumed in a timely fashion, and also providing the needed information, what is actually required to fulfill the task. And therefore, we are providing the inbox functionality. Finally, and there we are more talking about the, let's say, the intelligent house. Here also, we are providing integrations on the one hand side with SAP Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. As you are a member of the SAP community, you probably also know that this month is the topic of the month, Intelligent RPA, so probably you have heard also a lot about this. And good news for you, we are well integrated and are also able to, on the one hand side, orchestrate different kind of scenarios, different kind of bots, but also vice versa. For example, also imagine that also such kind of a digital worker, such a bot can also trigger a workflow at the end, which you would probably manage then with the help of intelligent business process management. I've already mentioned that it's important to provide the right information to the end user, especially also in these days, but probably also it would be helpful to provide them kind of assistance during the execution of the tasks. And therefore, we are providing an integration with SAP Conversational AI so that you are able to create a digital assistant, train them, and then also use them hand in hand with the execution of your workflows at the end. If you go into a little bit more details, what we are delivering with Intelligent BPM, a few of them I've already mentioned, but just to let me highlight a few areas, 2 areas which I've mentioned not before. So on the one hand side, the process flexibility, which you will find on the left-hand side and marked with an asterisk. Why is there an asterisk? Because this functionality, which we are currently at a, let's say, final stage for our first shipment, we are planning a shipment of this process flexibility functionality in June this year. And with this flexibility, we on the one hand side would like to enable you to configure certain extensions of your standard processes which are running in SAP systems, be able to configure certain variants, and also provide you kind of predefined what we call live process content, so predefined templates which you could use to actually solve certain business problems in your area, and also to speed up the overall implementation and also the flexibility. So meaning we also would like to enable here the line of business user to really be able to extend such kind of process on a very short notice, and also most likely with no or just less involvement of the IT department itself. Another topic, think of processes, think of sentiment analytics, which you could do, for example, with the experience management solutions from SAP, from Qualtrics, and just imagine what you could achieve if you would include this kind of analysis information, sentiment analysis information into your processes. So this means that you will get direct feedback about the execution of a process, how people are dealing with the process. And I think this is very important, even if you think of remote working environment, for example, that you really have a direct interaction possibilities. And this is also what we are planning here. But coming now, a step deeper also to the live process content. So what I said, what we're planning to deliver in June this year, and also the related process flexibility cockpit, which you would use on the one hand side to consume the content, but also to do the enhancements, the extensions of your standard business processes. our approach here was, and this is also due to the fact that we are having a lot of interactions, especially also in product management with our customers, direct interactions in customer engagement initiatives. And there, of course, we also have seen and also have heard, of course, we are providing here a set of capabilities, a set of functionalities within SAP Intelligent BPM to tackle almost each and every business process management problem, but also what we see and that it would be really helpful to provide you some kind of accelerator which you could use to really also increase the value of your approaches here. And so just to pick here one example, this is also the example which we would like to show you in a demo later on by Venu. So think about a capital expenditure process. A capital expenditure process, this could, for example, run when it comes to the, let's say, the bigger process construction of a new office building, but it could also be if you just would like to order new office tables, or if you would like to order or set up a new project, for example, within your company, because there's a new business case coming in. And we have had several interactions, and during the course of last year and also this year, on the one hand side with customer delivery hero and also Danone. So you can see two more or less different industries which are in there, and also different kind of requirements what we see. So for example, delivery hero, there the CapEx approval was really about the creation of new projects, which are then supporting business cases if then when they are expanding their business in different regions in the world. And on the other hand, we have seen at the Danone, so there it was more or less also regarding the CapEx approvals to ensure that they are compliant with the company values, for example, and also with their CO2 reduction goals. So as you can see, different kind of approaches, how they have seen and also how they have used the CapEx approval process. But what was also obvious during our conversations, that probably there are some areas which are more or less in common in such a kind of capital expenditure approval process, and probably also would make sense to provide this as a kind of a template which you could use to automate the certain steps within this process. So this is what we have done also. So really break this down, this capital expenditure process, and then also use here the different capabilities we have: workflow, decision management, visibility, and also then enrich them with some kind of intelligence, if you will. And for this, how this looks like and what we have done there, and also what we are planning to deliver, I now would like to hand over to my colleague Venu, who will guide you through the demo. Venu?
Yes, I'm sharing my screen now. So please confirm you are able to see my desktop.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good. So thanks, Stephan, for the well introduction. And as Stephan explained, we want to take you through a concrete business scenario, which is the capital expenditure approval. And being from an enterprise, being from a company, how do you manage all your capital expenditure approvals in a transparent way, so that if you have a business case for investment, how do you get through the different approvals? It depends on the investment amount across the different levels of organizations, and get these final approvals within the stipulated time you plan to get it, but at the same time happen this in a transparent way and also in a flexible way, right? So that's what we want to highlight during the demo. So typically, if you look at, if I as an employee, part of an organization, have a request for capital investment, naturally I would be connecting to my portal, and of course in my portal I will have various different applications which are configured as part of my day-to-day life. And you can see there are various different applications, like creating a business partner record, or changing the payment data for my business partners, or I could also have an application for creating a new capital request. So what does this form enabling me to do is to create a request for approvals for my specific business case. So as part of this, I just want to provide the details of my user so that the approvers know who am I. So I'm just providing my personal details to the application, and also I'm just providing my identity to this, and it is investment for new building. So naturally, if it is an investment for a new building, I also need to provide a little bit more details about my investment purpose. So with a specific, request, I just want to provide a investment for a new building. And the type of investment, of course, it's a building. So naturally, I need to select a building here. And per country, my division is automatically determined here. And then the description, I can again provide a little bit more insight, investment for new office space, for new hires. So then what is the total capital expenditure as part of this? So I would be providing the total capital expenditure, and especially from a management side, for a decision, you also need to provide the OPEX, and then what could be the total cost for this investment. But especially from a return on investment perspective, you also want to provide certain financial parameters, like for example, what could be the IRR and return on investment like this. And if you are a company very much particular about sustainability aspects, then you need to provide the energy efficiency, and also the what is the CO2 efficiency, and what is the energy cost savings, and also what is the the water savings. So these are the relevant information you need to provide as part of creating a request. And naturally, you can submit this request so that it will be submitted for approval. So what is happening behind the scene? I have created a request, and this request is undergoing approvals. That means there could be multiple approvers, maybe starting from the immediate manager, and it might go until the CFO or the CIO of the company, depends upon the investment type. Apart from that, you can also see different approvers, like especially if the investment is also related to sustainability, or if it is investment is something which needs to be taken care from a legal side of it. So all these approvers need to take part in this entire process. And now, being a requester, naturally I would be getting some sort of a notification once I submit my request, and that is something which I could also see in my inbox. You can see there are email notifications coming to me. Since I am taking the role of both a requester and an approver for the specific demo, that's why you can see there is also a request coming in as a requester, but at the same time as an approver also I would be getting an email notification. And in my email notification, you can see the the investment type and all the information what I am sharing here. It is automatically coming as an email notification to me. And what I could do as an approver, I can directly click on the inbox URL here, or I can navigate to my portal, and then I could see the approvals. But I also want to show you one more interesting aspect here is like, think about if you are getting lots of documents and also carrying so much of data as part of an investment. And this is centrally managed by the finance department. So each and every business case coming in, it is centrally managed. Then you could also think about, enabling the LOB user with a attended bot. So for example, I can have a attended bot from robotic process automation, where if I have an action called fill a capex request, it should be able to pick up the relevant document which is coming to a shared drive or a central location, and then it should be able to feed in the data automatically to the system, so that I do not need to manually enter so much of data to the system. Sometimes it could be error prone and inefficient. Right? So that's also another way of you interact with your system, where you are providing attended or attended bot for your LOB users. Now, since I have already submitted the request, naturally there could be tasks. If I take the approver's role, I would be having various different tasks in my inbox. So this is an inbox integrated to our workflow service in cloud platform, where every investment request which are created, and if I am an approver, I would be able to get a request for approval. You can see this is the request which I have created, and since I am taking the role of an approver, I'm also able to see the data what is shared by the requester here, right? So let me just move this away. So Okay, so here you can see the possible decisions which I can make, approve or reject or rework. At the same time, I could also see who has created this request at what point of time. So that's give me a little bit of insight as an approver. And then I could also make a decision whether I want to approve or reject. So if I want to make an approval, maybe I could also provide, some comments like, so that I made a decision approved and I am submitting my decision here. So once I submit my decision, automatically the task is disappearing and the next task is appearing in my inbox. Since I have so many different tasks in my inbox, of course, that's the reason why you can see now, the next task is appearing in my inbox. And now another interesting aspect is these days, if you look at, we are very familiar with Alexa or a OK Google or a Siri in our personal life, where we are gathering information, through our mobile device. But at the same time, at an enterprise level, if you have a chatbot, a simple chatbot enabling you to get the relevant information what you're looking. So typically you will be taking your mobile device and asking your chatbot a simple hi or a good morning to your chatbot. The chatbot would be able to understand who are you, and from an enterprise point of view, it should be able to provide a certain information which is relevant to you. So here what it's providing me is, how is my day, show my task at certain possible actions. And if I select one of these actions, my chatbot would be able to bring all the different tasks which are there in my inbox, which are relevant for me as of now. And I can also make a decision here based on certain task here. But since it is an investment approval task, it doesn't make sense you directly do an approval here. But of course, if it is a leave approval task, since I know the employee, since I know the duration, I can directly make a decision directly through my chatbot. I do not want to go to my inbox for it. But apart from that, if I am the responsible for a certain process area, now think about I'm as a employee in a company, I'm also responsible for a certain process areas now, and I want to know how my process area is functioning as of today. So that's why you can see there are different process area, like onboarding of employees happening in my organization, certain business partner related process areas, or even the lead to cash. So there are different processes where I am responsible, and my chatbot enabling me to provide these different business scenarios, and I can select a specific scenario which is capital expenditure approval, and see how my process area is functioning today. And if I looked at what there is open instances by status as an option, where I can see how's the current request functioning in my process area, where you could see there is only 13 requests are on track and 147 are under risk. So that naturally give you the fact that, oh, that's a problem here where you need to act on it. That's why we have a process visibility workspace coming from our portfolio, enabling you as a process area, process owner, or a process responsible, enabling you to go to the process visibility service, try to understand what's really happening to this specific process area, and how are the different requests created by different users currently performing. So you can see these 147 requests which are in critical. That's what my chatbot said. Together with, you also see the various different performance indicators, and how this process area is functioning today from a total investment perspective, the average approval time, number of reworks happening. But together with, you could also see some aggregated KPIs, and all those requests, 160 requests, also grouped based on meaningful phases from a line of business perspective. Now it's giving me an aggregated view. It's pretty good. But at the same time, from an operational point of view, I really want to deep dive and understand why I have 147 capital expenditure requests currently in critical state. I really want to do a deep dive into it. So that means if I select this 147 instances in critical state, that will take me to a list view where I can further slice and dice my data based on different filtering option based on certain context relevant information she has shared. So for example, if I really want to look into the investment, what's currently happening in Germany, for example. So I just select my country here, set it as a filter, and directly go here, and once I apply the filter, I would be able to see those critical instances which are in open state coming from Germany, right? So once it is in Germany, then I can see still I have quite lots of requests, but further I can slice and dice my data based on various different criteria, and then I can see why there are many instances currently in critical status, and try to understand what's really happening to these instances. So you can see now there is an instance started on February 7th. The target date was February 13th, and it has already taken quite lots of time and which is in critical status. And naturally, I can understand what really went wrong. You can see there was only a local manager approval in progress. That means the process itself has not moved forward. And then you can also understand at the path level, is there something went wrong, or is it, as you can see here, basically that local manager task got created, but nothing else really happening behind the scene. And I can also look at the action logs if it is provided from the IT side. So similarly, you can do a deep dive into each and every request currently what is created in my system, and try to understand how these instances are performing. Like each and every instance, if I do a deep dive, I would be able to understand individually what's really happening to these instances at a phase level point of view, or even at a process path point of view, so that you can understand from a LOB perspective, how is my process looking today, and what are the steps executed by this process until now, and what needs to be done in order to mitigate the problems. Now, apart from this, you can also, it's this interesting performance indicators what we are providing here, like the total investment classified based on different investment category, and what is the approved investment for a given month. Similarly, what is the average approval time. So you can really go through these different KPIs, but at the same time you can see it's also the number of instances which are cancelled, completed with a violation, plus here again open investment by type. So if I take one of this specific investment area, I can click on it. I will be able to do a deep dive into that, and then further I can see what's really happening to those instances, whether it is on track or critical, and what for example, you can again see here, okay, this instance again started on 10th and it is still waiting for a longer period of time, and it's what really happened to those instances. So basically, all those cases where we have a problem with your process instance where you need to have an immediate action, you would be able to mitigate that and make sure that at least you would be able to complete those instances successfully within immediate time. So in general, you are getting a high level view of your process with a meaningful KPIs, with an aggregated view of the different critical performance indicators. And as a process owner or a process operator for this specific process area, you can do a deep dive into the individual performance indicators or individual instances of this process area, and try to understand what really happening until now. And now that would be one thing would be interesting for us would be, okay, how can I build such a business process scenario, right? So that is why we also have a capability in our portfolio. How do you configure such a business scenario? So for us, a business scenario consists of multiple processes executed in different transactional systems. So for example, if I take the example which I showed you now, it's the capital expenditure approval. So if we look at how we configure and build such a scenario, you can see now there are a couple of processes which we have included here, but on the other hand, since it is coming from the same BPM portfolio, we have a out of the box integration with the cloud platform workflow, where you are able to gain visibility out of the box. So that means I can select one of the deployed workflow model from my cloud platform account, and if I select the cloud platform workflow from here, it automatically populating all the events, all the transactional events of my workflow. That means I do not need to do any further integration step in order to get these events. And together with, I would be able to just configure few meaningful phases and also some performance indicators. And if you are interested to define certain actions, of course, you could also do certain actions. For example, if you see there are many tasks which are in critical and which is not progressing, you want to have a kind of an escalation workflow, or if you want to increase the priority of your task or increase the deadline of your task. So those kind of actions you can do by defining an additional action, so that you are also able to gain insight into your process area, but at the same time you could also act on it. So that is the way you define how a specific business scenario, by configuring or consuming the events from your specific processes or workflow, especially if it is a process which from a different transactional system, you have a possibility to define it as an observed process. That means you need to define the transactional events of your remote system in process visibility here, and model the business scenario the same way for cloud platform workflow, but later you need to push the transactional events from the respective transactional systems using the REST APIs provided by process visibility. So that's the way you build a scenario. That naturally another interesting aspect would be, okay, being part of, we have built the workflow models, and how do you model the workflows? How do you deploy the workflows, right? So let me show you different possibilities today. For example, in SAP Cloud Platform, we have the Web ID, where we have the workflow modeling capabilities, where you can model your workflows as BPM and models. So you can see here the capital expenditure workflow is modeled as a BPM and models, where we provide various different BPM and artifacts for you to model various activities like a user task, a service task, script task, mail task, similarly different types of events, and also the decision gateways and the parallel gateways. Using this, you can see you can model both sequential flows and parallel flows together with for example, if you want to call a service, you can also directly call any REST endpoint or a OData APIs by making few configuration steps. Together with, you can also make the different types of decisions, notifying your approvers, and if you want to have a user who need to perform certain job or certain approvals, you can then have a user task, and appropriately you could define the escalations so that as and when the deadline is reaching, the task owner would be notified appropriately. So you can see that way the workflow is progressing from approvals to approval, but each approver is able to get notifications, and as and when there are delays happening, escalations are triggered, and based on the approver's decisions, the request is going back to the requester, or maybe certain times the request needs to be rejected and it needs to be terminated. So that's the way the workflow is progressing, and you can see now how as a developer you can model BPM and based workflow models in SAP Cloud Platform Web IDE. Of course, you could also do the same capability in SAP Cloud Platform Business Application Studio. So far, Cloud Platform workflow, we were able to model only in Web IDE, but recently we also incorporated the same capability in SAP Cloud Platform Business Application Studio, where the same workflows you can model as a BPM and models using Business Application Studio. Now, I also want to show you some of from a roadmap perspective, from a portfolio side, where are we heading? So a couple of interesting, features coming out in the near future. I just want to show you so that you can also understand, overall from a process management or process modeling capabilities, what are we going to deliver in the near future? So one of the interesting aspect is, so far we talked about the process owners, the process operators, the LOB users, or even a developer, how you model workflows, deploy workflows, gain visibility on your deployed workflows. Now think about if you as an LOB expert. So you as an LOB expert want to gain so if you really want to configure simple workflow templates, and then you want to deploy them into your cloud platform tenant without knowing the IT side of it. So think about you as a LOB expert who has a process flexibility cockpit, where you have a various different business scenarios, right? And this processes which you could directly import it from a process, our process flexibility cockpit, where it enable you to discover real content packages directly from SAP API Business Hub. That means if you search and find process content packages, you are directly importing these content packages to your cloud platform account. Once you import a content package, you would be able to then configure those content packages, like for example the capital expenditure approval process. Now if you think about, as a LOB expert, you want to configure different templates for different organizations or different types of investments, or even for different countries, right? So like for example, you can see there is a default investment model or process variant is provided together with a high value investment, a low value investment, etc. So if I take a specific template here, which is currently either in an active state or in a draft state, as an LOB expert, I would be able to see the possible, process steps I can incorporate here. And sometime if I feel like, okay, as part of this process which is taking so much of time, let me remove a couple of these process steps, right? So that way I would be able to simplify this process. But then later, if I see now, oh, I also have investments where I want to include our sustainability director into investment proposals, to make sure that all the sustainability aspects are covered here. So what I need to do is I just need to drag and drop an approval step here. And then once I drag and drop the approval step, I can call it as a sustainability director as my approver. And then I can also provide change the role name here so that I can assign the specific role. So naturally, we have business rules configured together with our process content, and these roles you need to configure in your underlying business rules so that it could the process would be able to automatically detect who could be the sustainability director responsible for this process area. So that way I'm adding a new step to my process, and I could save and I could activate my process. That means it is generating the underlying workflow models and deploying to my cloud platform account. So this is a new capability. We call it as our live process content, which we want to deliver. So it is not only we are delivering tooling, but also we want to deliver real process content, which is something which you as a customer would be able to consume out of the box. And as an LOB expert, I can configure and deploy different process variants into your cloud platform account. So together with that, you can also see now if I have selected a specific process area, I could also see the related decisions and also how my process area is functioning with the possible process insight through our process visibility service, where how many processes are running or currently in progress, and how many of them are in critical and how many of them are at risk, etc. So we are able to get a complete insight into this process area. At the same time, I can also do a deep dive into this. Like for example, if I click, it automatically take me to the process visibility dashboard, where I can get further in details about my process area. Similarly, it's not only a capex, but also, for example, if I select any other process area, like for example purchase requisition. So if you look at typically in purchase requisition, you would be having a couple of approval steps. Typically, you can say for a certain purchase requisition, you need a direct approval, right? So think about, you have a system where you have a one line approval, or you can say, I do not want approval for certain line item. I just want to validate this line item and I want to release the line item. So this is something which you can call it as a purchase requisition approval for low value, for example. So there is a business rule behind it for this use case too, where you are saving and activating such process variants. And now if you see that, okay, I want to create another variant where I need to have multiple approvals. So I can select the approved line item, and then I can add this line item here, so that if I say that I want to get an approval from my cost center owner, and similarly, I want to have a second approval for a high value, purchasing from the central procurement office, right? So basically, if I say I want to get an approval from central procurement office, and now I have configured different approvals, and these approvals will be determined by the underlying business rules what we are configuring. And you as an LOB expert would be able to configure those business rules together with the process steps what you have defined, and you save and activate. That means you are able to define net new variants of your purchase requisition approvals in your cloud platform account. Having said that, I hope this is informative demo for you. And looking at the time, I would like to go back to the presentation side. Stephan?
A lot, Venu, sharing
Right.
all the details. So most of the part what you have seen is already available, and the others is planned to be released in June. What we now would like to show you what is actually our roadmap on the one hand side on the content perspective, and also regarding the product area. So from a content perspective, you see here, for example, 2006 or 2008. So 20, of course, year 2020, 06 means June, 08, then planned for August, 11, then planned for November this year, and then also, of course, we have future plans. So what you have seen in demo, for example, today was the capital expenditure approval This would be one live process content package which we are planning to ship next month, and also the other one, so the purchase order approval, the extension here, what also Venu has shown. This is also planned. In addition to that, of course, we are currently working on different live process content packages for utility scenario, for example, vendor creation, procurement data collection, for example, or also what is also quite prominent, handling invoices without a purchase order. For the middle of the year or the next quarter of the year in August, you can see content packages, for example, on our list, like invoice approvals, material master data creation, customer onboarding, and of course, several dashboards. So you have also seen the process visibility capabilities, which are providing with SAP Intelligent BPM. And therefore, we are planning to provide several out-of-the-box dashboards, like, for example, meter to cash or make to order, and also accounts payable or receivable. Later this year, November timeframe. So we are focusing here also on different areas, like, for example, S/4HANA Central Invoice Management, SIM, ECC content packages, very important for us. So even in the first set of live process content packages in 06, we also will provide ECC content packages and also move on here during the course of the year. And then, of course, there are also plans of future content packages as we speak. Of course, therefore, we are also looking forward to your input. So proposals from your side are very much welcome. As I said before, we have already established certain feedback channels, like, for example, customer engagement initiatives and so on, where we are in heavy discussions with you as our customers, as our main stakeholders, what kind of content packages would really provide immediate value to you to handle and manage all the business process management approaches and probably issues which you're currently facing. In addition to that, of course, on the one hand side, we have this content roadmap, but of course, we are also working on to provide more capabilities to increase the functionality of our family of service covered within SAP Intelligent Business Process Management. So, and what you can see here, planned for Q2, so even planned for June. So on the one hand side, the shipment of the line of business expert tooling. So what Venu has just showed, where you are able to manage your process variants, where you are able to create new variants with the pre-delivered content packages. In addition to that, we will also provide some kind of first support of workflow technology in SAP New Digital Workplace area. And in addition to that, what I've already told you at the beginning, we are also working and providing a kind of an integration with the experience management solutions from SAP with Qualtrics. Further this year, so after Q3, we have plans also, of course, to, on the one hand side, improve the user productivity when it comes to offering the business rules. So Venu has just showed you most of the time what you can consume, but of course, all these different areas, so like the workflow, like the business rules, the decisions which you're managing there, you can create on your own with the help of the functionality within SAP Intelligent BPM. And there we also, of course, would like to improve the business user productivity. In addition to that, we are also working to make it even more flexible for you to work with these process templates, and then also providing you capabilities so that on the, let's say, traditional SAP business workflow, you are also able to use here the process visibility capabilities, which you will get with SAP Intelligent Business Process Management. So having said this, let me just show a couple of success stories. So the one which I've already touched upon was Danone. So they were also part of the Innovation Awards 2020. So the information, detailed information about their experience with the Intelligent BPM capabilities within SAP Cloud Platform, you will get there. What was really important for us and also to understand, and this is also why it's so important for us to have these interactions with you, with our customers and partners, so that they have a kind of different view on the capital expenditure process compared to Delivery Hero. But at the end, it's really also to the goal is to automate different steps, different activities, and also be able to track the success at the end. What's going on there? Another very interesting use case, which we find on the in Australia, was the Toronto Conservation Society Australia. So in fact, it's a zoo, and what they have created with the help of SAP Cloud Platform, a dedicated mobile app, so a staff experience application, which they're using to handle different kind of requests, keeping the staff also informed about certain kind of updates which are going on, and of course, make them free to focus on what is more or less their major objective. So really to focus on the guest experience, to really help also having a good experience for all the guests who are visiting the zoo, and not really be considering most of the time of the day with, let's say, tasks when it comes to managing, for example, their vacation requests, or having a look at certain collaboration activities and so on and so forth. So really free them up to focus on the most important part, which is here are really on the one hand side, of course, the animals in the zoo, and also the guests which are visiting the Toronto Conservation Society. So, and now let's come to the end to also have some free time for your questions. So in a nutshell, what are the benefits, and I would even say the immediate benefits which you will gain using SAP Intelligent Business Process Management? On the one hand side, of course, it's faster time to value. So we are providing you here a set of tools which you can use to manage your business processes, to automate your processes, your workflows, and also, as you have seen, with the help of the live process content, which we are about to ship, we are also providing you flexibility to extend certain processes, to adapt them really based on your business needs at the end of the day. On the other hand, and this becomes more and more important, what we also see in our discussions with our customers, so to increase on the one hand side the level, but also actually the quality of process automation. So what does this mean? Of course, ensuring that your processes are digitized, but also ensuring that they are providing the right level of quality, if you will, so that all the information is provided to the stakeholders at the right point in time, that you also have capabilities, for example, how to manage certain policies, certain decisions within your company with the help of the business rules functionality. And of course, also, let's say some tedious tasks, probably where people are currently acting like a robot, probably it would then also be better to have a digital worker, to a bot to do this. So, and then at the end, of course, also improve the overall business process experience, enable you to make smarter decisions because you have the right information at the right point in time. Certain areas of your processes are automated. The whole end-to-end process is digitized so that you can really work on these processes, interact on these processes, get information about the processes each and everywhere. You will find more information about process management via this URL, sap.com/IBPM, some demos, some further reading materials, linked to our blogs, also talking about more technical details if you're interested in, and of course you are all invited to do so. Invited is a good transition here to the final slide. So besides this overview and update community call, which we have today, so for end of May, we have even planned for a kind of a webinar series where we are focusing on the topic of digital process automation on a bigger notion. So on the one hand side, providing you more information even on intelligent business process management, also in combination with intelligent robotic process automation. So really have the have different kind of process technologies, how they work in tandem. So therefore, we have set up with experts, with visionaries here in the business process management and robotic process automation area, starting Tuesday, May the 26th, just 2 hours a day. And of course, you are all welcomed and invited to join us there to even get more information, also more details on what we have already showed you today, and also see a kind of a really complete end-to-end picture. What you could use, which kind of technologies, products you could use to digitize your processes, to automate your processes, and also how this really provides immediate value to you and your organization. Having said this, I'm at the end of the presentation, and I already have noticed that there are some questions. So I also would like to invite then Venu to join me again, and then we tackle these questions together.
Yeah, thank you, Stephan. Thank you, Venu. So Venu is already really diligent to answer the questions here in the question and answer section. And this is perfect because yeah, so we have more time for those who are coming up. For example, there is a question, how is the sentiment analysis data collected in the workflow? Is it through surveys or is it integrated directly in the workflow design?
So we have an integration of Qualtrics with process visibility surveys today. So that means you can collect the sentiments of the users who are participating in a process, and then it is possible to get it into the process visibility service, and you could do an analysis of it.
Okay, I hope this answers your question. And here is a more general question. What skills are needed to be a developer?
So
I mean, we can spend hours on that.
Yeah, so I think in general, it's a model-driven tools. So you do not need to have a hardcore Java skills or anything. What you need to model a workflow is, it's a very intuitive. So with the BPM and artifacts, you can model workflows. The same with the business rules. It's again meant for typically line of business users. But if you want to build UIs, especially using SAP UI5, then you need HTML5 or UI5 skills.
Okay, perfect. And I think it makes also sense to follow the tag in the community. So I paste it here in the chat. Yeah, and there you can find a lot of content, blog posts, question and answers, and so on. And I'm pretty sure that you will find also more information about how to develop yourself on those skills. Are there any more questions? You can also write a question in the chat, or you can hover over your name and raise your hand, and then I can unmute you so that you can speak. All right. If there are no more questions, then I can only thank you very much for being part of the SAP Community Call, not only the audience for taking part, but also, of course, our speakers. It was a pleasure having you, and I will put the recording online as soon as possible. And yeah, we stay in contact, and I wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.